Stop me if you've heard this one before. If you love your job, you'll never work a day in your life. This famous saying has been attributed to intellectuals like Mark Twain and others as if our work will be easy. There will be thorns and thistles because the fall of humanity has guaranteed that we will toil. But in Christ, we can still find joy and have some fun in the process. As faith-driven entrepreneurs, isn't that what we're after? Not only do we want to do good work and follow God's call to create, but we also want it to mean something more. While we're not afraid to grind it out, who doesn't also want to have fun in the process? Often we find work and fun converge early on. Running a lemonade stand on the corner, firing up the lawnmower to cut the grass in our neighbor's yard for a small fee, printing t-shirts and selling them on our college campus. Entrepreneurship is where fun and hard work can lead to innovation, success, and viral videos. Dude Perfect all began in a college house in Texas with a homemade trick shot video. That same 5-dude team now has nearly 60 million subscribers on YouTube and is building the world's most trusted brand in entertainment. Co-founder Coby Cotton shares about how these friends turned fun into a thriving business. And they did so in the early days of YouTube before being an influencer was even a thought in anyone's mind. Let's watch.
It's crazy. I currently have one of the most fun jobs on the planet, but it did not start as a job. It started 12 years ago. Myself, 4 other friends at Texas A&M. I have a twin brother, and the rest of our roommates were all living there. And in classic college fashion, we were not studying for our finals. We were procrastinating. And so one guy had bought a basketball goal. We're in the backyard shooting shots. One guy bets a Jimmy John sandwich that he could make a shot. Boom, nails it. Before you know it, we're trying to one-up each other. We're going up on the roof. We're videoing it. Of course, had to put that video on YouTube. This was back in 2009. YouTube was very new at the time. And we went to sleep, didn't think much of it, got up the next day, and my brother had a phone call from Good Morning America. And somehow, some way, they found the video and they aired it. And it was our backyard trick shot video that we called Dude Perfect. And it just picked up steam. And so we continued making those videos over the next couple of years. And before you knew it, companies were reaching out, and we figured we might have a little bit of a business idea on our hands.
Indeed you did. I'm curious though, I'm sure that when you guys uploaded that first trick shot video that you weren't thinking we're going to make a career out of this. Was there a moment when you realized that you really had something here, and what was that progression like?
We had fun making the first video, but to your point, certainly did not think anything real material was going to come of it. We were just having a good time. The response was really strong. And so in typical college fashion, we wanted to continue trying what we had just seen a little bit of success with. So we went out to Tyler's family's ranch, filmed it. The response was even better, kind of continued along that path. And a few videos in, companies started emailing us saying that they wanted to be featured in the videos. And so for us, that was the light bulb moment of, whoa, I didn't even know that was a thing. And it took us a while before we did that first one, but at some point GMC early on reached out and they wanted to do an NBA finals commercial, which is just a crazy way to jumpstart the commercial piece of the business for us. And that was the one where Tyler dropped a basketball out of an airplane, and they played that during the NBA finals. So it was a really, really cool first kind of foray into the business world for us.
So you went on and built the business. Each of you guys realizing that there are things that you do and other things that could make a life or a career out of this. And I mean, you guys have a chemistry that I think is part of the appeal, but I'm sure it's got to be also really hard at times. At Faith-Driven Entrepreneur, we believe that God sends us out into partnerships, and we encourage that in our community. When you add a second person, it makes a relationship that much stronger and also a bit more complex. I'd imagine, though, when you're at 3, 4, and 5, it adds a whole nother level of complexity. But clearly, you guys have been able to handle that. How do you handle the bridge between being college friends and dividing up responsibilities, and who does what? Talk to us about the team dynamic.
I think, like you said, I think it's part of the appeal, and it's always part of the challenge as well, right? I think there's benefits and cons to having 5 guys in kind of an entertainment company like we do, right? We were just out filming with a guy who was an individual, and we were talking about how challenging it would be if everything rode on just you, right? So we have this ability to share kind of the spotlight and the creative challenges of coming up with things with the other 4 guys. But at the same time, it's not an individually led typical CEO running a company type standpoint, right? Where there's all these shared opinions and sometimes it can be difficult to come to a consensus. So there's definitely pros and cons. I think what we've been so grateful for is that each of the five of us do have natural gifts and skill sets. And so honestly, from the very beginning, the way we broke up kind of the business roles and responsibilities is where we are today, 12 years later. I've kind of run a lot of the business side. My brother has spearheaded the production, which meant at first he was the one doing all the editing, and now he's managing that team. Tyler runs and leads all the creative. He's the one who says he thinks of cool ideas. That's just something that happens to him. Garrett has run our merchandise and our financial stuff, and Cody has run our social media for all these years. And so kind of all the natural bents and abilities between the five of us has really been so helpful in just shouldering that load. From the beginning.
You mentioned that there's some cons at times, and 12 years is a long time. What have been some of the difficulties, and how have you guys managed conflict?
I think, it is a long time, right? 12 years is crazy that we've been doing it for that long. And anybody who's done anything for 12 years knows that there's ups and downs, right? And so we actually I think it was 2 years ago now, we came out with a documentary on YouTube, which is a ton of fun. And it tells our whole story. So for anybody who's interested in seeing all of this in video format, you just type in the Dude Perfect documentary on YouTube. It's a 90-minute movie basically. So it's not a quick 5-minute watch, but if you have the time, I think you'll really enjoy it. We're really proud of it. But it shows kind of some of those ups and downs as well. And I just think probably the biggest one is just friendship over time. I think for us, the bedrock of the business really is 5 friends. And so we have learned over time with good counselors and friends around us of, hey, like y'all have to protect that friendship and you have to work through conflict together, because if you don't, the whole business could crater based on just the 5 of you guys and the closeness there. And so for us, obviously our faith is at the bedrock of that. And we each have to have a strong abiding relationship with Christ. And then, it's important to all of us that we are each involved in community, where we have people around us who don't care that we're Dude Perfect, don't care that we have all the subscribers that we have and can speak into our lives. And then we do, like I said, we've gotten better. I can't say it's been perfect, but we've gotten better at resolving conflict between the 5 of us. The phrase we use as guys to make it easier is we sword ourselves. So if somebody needs to own something, they say, hey, look, I'm gonna sword myself on that. That was on me. I'm taking that one and owning that. And so I think that has been significant for us over time.
Let's talk about the business side of this a little. What does it look like actually running the business of Dude Perfect? Do you guys just walk into the office every day and start shooting hoops or chipping golf shots? What's a typical day like?
The perception that you just described of that it's all fun and games is our hardest challenge with our individual wives. They of course, have that same expectation of what we do at work all day. So it's hard to go home when they've had a long day with the kids and explain to them, babe, it was tough today. Like today was hard. I spent 3 hours trying to flip a water bottle onto this record player. And she's like, awesome, honey. I'm glad you're here. Thank you. Here's the kiddo. The truth is there is a lot of kind of businessy pieces to it, right? Especially as the business has matured these last 12 years. There's a ton of red tape that goes into the planning side. Really, you asked initially kind of the core of the business. I would say that we probably 2 or 3 main pieces of the business today. For anybody who is or isn't familiar, the way YouTube works in general is you get a certain number of views and there's ads run across the videos. So when somebody watches our video, if Henry, your family's watching, and you guys sit through that ad, Dude Perfect gets paid for that impression, right? And so that's one piece. The second piece is a lot of times we'll work with a sponsor on a video. So I mentioned GMC, right? If GMC sponsors a YouTube video and we give some type of messaging about GMC or showcase their products, they're going to pay Dude Perfect for that, just like they would on a TV commercial. That's a piece of the revenue for us. Then we have our merchandise side, t-shirts, basketballs, mini hoops, all that kind of stuff. And we most recently have a touring side of the business where we're 1 summer in now, had to take a break during all the COVID stuff. And we're about to go back out here in the fall. So that's just a live show that we do in basketball arenas across the country. We started with 22 shows a couple of years ago when we did that, and we're about to do 30 this fall. So that's going to be kind of crazy, but we're excited.
2 final questions, Coby. You guys have been at this for 12 years. and you continue to do amazing and entertaining videos. And just when I think that's all the trick shots there are, they've done it all, you surprise me with something completely new. So what's the future like for you guys, and how long can you do it? I mean, if Tom Brady retires at 45 or 46, how does the Dude Perfect go on? And second, what do you want Dude Perfect to be known for?
It's a great question. We ask ourselves that weekly. We feel like the world is always going to be in need of trusted entertainment. And maybe it's going to morph over time. You know, one thing that we have really been intentional to do is to mix up the type of content we've made over these last 12 years. We started with all the trick shots. That's, I'm sure, what we will always be known for no matter what we do. But we've tried to pivot multiple times and introduce different stuff. We have the stereotypes, we have the battles. I mentioned the bucket list. We're going to be coming out with a clip show here soon. You know, kind of America's Funniest Home Videos style, right? Like Overtime is a popular series of ours, which is more of a variety show, more like a Jimmy Fallon type show. And so as we've introduced those different types of content, we have felt the kind of the lifespan of Dude Perfect increase. We feel like if it was just trick shots, to your point, we would have already been out of ideas, right? There's no possible way you could do 12 years worth of only trick shots. And so I think that's helped. The other thing for us is, it goes back to what I said at first, this year, we have spent a lot of time on the business itself and not just the videos. We took some time for an offsite, and really for the first time in these 12 years kind of took a dive into our mission statement and kind of trying to craft what we wanted to be. And where we landed at is we're striving to be the world's most trusted entertainment. And we feel like that has become kind of our calling card and our niche in the entertainment world. And we just know from having kids ourselves and from what families have told us specifically, even on our tour, and it's what you said at the top, Henry, there's just such a lack of that today. And that is just at the core of what we're trying to accomplish is make world-class entertainment that families can trust. And so I think, you know, whether it's us doing that or somebody else, I think there's always going to be a need and a desire for that. And so we want to just continue to make the best that we can, and hopefully people will stick with us.
Coby, thank you very, very much for blessing us today. Before we wrap up, is there any word of encouragement that you'd like to share with our faith-driven entrepreneurs or anyone else on this journey?
I'm very encouraged by what this ministry does. And I just hope that everybody out there, first of all, like we talked about with community, has people around them who can encourage them and help steer them in the right direction when they get off course. I know that that's been something that's just been critical to us, not just on a community side from community group, but have people and counselors who can help steer you business-wise as well. We've needed that all the way along the way. And we talk a lot at Dude Perfect about being passionate about what you do. We've just found that it is so important to absolutely love it. And if you don't love it, to learn to love it, because if you don't, it's just going to be incredibly hard for people to feel that you care. And who likes to jump on board with anything that somebody you can tell is faking it? So I'm encouraged by what you guys are all learning and striving for, and appreciate the opportunity to be here.
I'm sure that when the creators of Dude Perfect uploaded that first trick shot video, they weren't thinking, we're going to make a career out of this. They're simply following God's lead to create something that was fun and unexpected. Trick shots are breaking into the search history of millions and have led to things like tours, products, and more. From humble beginnings as college students rooming together, Dude Perfect seized on a divine opportunity to create one of the most trusted brands in entertainment, to shepherd hearts with wholesome content, and viewers can't help but notice just how much fun they're having. Chances are pretty good that the famous quote about loving our job was inspired by God's word. We read a similar sentiment in Colossians 3:23-24. Work willingly at whatever you do, as though you are working for the Lord rather than for people. Remember that the Lord will give you an inheritance as your reward, and that the master you're serving is Christ. God is calling you to create with Him and for Him. He's inviting you to experience something that is good and fulfilling. Above all, He's offering you everlasting life through Jesus. When you accept this inheritance, each and every day, whatever you create will naturally reflect the truth of God's great love in your work and life. Now, talk about this session in your group and how it relates to the journey you're on. Open yourselves up to learning from one another. Be transparent and honest with each other. What you get out of this time together will only be as enriching and life-giving as what you put into it. See you next time.